Hey Alexander, how you doing? I've got your work up here. Thank you so much. Now, I want to use this forum right here as more of a kind of a little pep talk, kind of a little mini lecture here as to where we're going, as opposed to, just going over here and saying and taking a look. These are all very, very interesting ideas. There's no question. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about this. I want you to get your group together and just have, um, if you guys have, well, let me see, where am I here? If you guys have already downloaded and taken a look at the user-centered, um, human-centered design idea kit here from Ideal, here it is. It's the Field Guide to Human-Centered Design. This is this design kit. I mean, this is fantastic, and it's available right here through the class. Now, if you read through this, which I highly, highly recommend that everybody in your group reads through this. It's a quick read. It's not short. It's over 100 pages, but it's a really quick read. You'll get it. You'll knock it out in an hour or two, um, if that. I mean, and it's really, really fascinating and important stuff. It'll change your opinion on design. The reason I bring this up is because what we see here and what we really, really determined to be the most important thing in human-centered design, specifically in the deep dive immersion techniques, is that we're approaching design completely differently. We are approaching design more as a system for which to make improvements to the quality of life, the human quality of life. And we do that based on a specific situation that we're confronted with. In this specific situation, we're confronted with designing a kiosk for which to configure an automobile. But when we look at the deep dive immersion techniques as well as human-centered design techniques, we see that it's not enough just to stop at designing something. We really want to make changes to the way that the whole industry is perceived. So we start with the problem. The problem here is we take a look at the big problem here. It's not, okay, so the problem is we're confronted with an issue of designing a vehicle configurator kiosk. Okay, but is that the problem? No. You dig deeper and you'll find out there are inherent problems associated with new car buying. A lot of them have to do with pressure from salesmen. A lot of them have to do with the fact that the dealer doesn't have the consumer's best interest in mind. They just want to sell them the most expensive vehicle they possibly can. And that's the way the industry is driven. What we're going to try to do is change the way that individuals interact with the process of buying new automobiles by changing the whole way we look at automobile purchasing. So the reason I'm saying this is what I want you to do is I just want you to take all possibilities, and start adding them to your configurator. So in other words, whatever your group decides to move forward with, think about adding things like a drive simulator that simulates what the car will drive like in 10 years when it's got 100,000 miles or 150,000 miles on it. What will the car drive like in snowy conditions? What will it drive by it like in wet conditions and dry conditions? What if you change the size of the tires? What if you change the tires? What if you change the transmission? All sorts of things like that, so that you can really experience a simulated driving test drive with all of the different features that you choose, right? Then you could even take that configurator and add some finance options so that you could determine what percentage of your income might be consumed with a down payment and the recommended payments or the monthly payments, depending on how much you put down, things like that. What is the resale value in 10 years? A little calculator for that. What else? Oh, a baseline quiz, determining what your driving habits are. What is your height and weight? Are you physically able to interact with this car? Or is this car too small for someone who's a large person? Is this car too large for someone who's a small person? Just all sorts of little things like that. Think of as much as you can. Start throwing this by all of the people you can. So get as many eyes on this as you can and start taking suggestions. And that's how deep dive is done. It's bringing other people into the process, people who may not be particular stakeholders, people who may not have a specific interest in this presentation, but somebody you can say, hey, what's the biggest problem you had with the last car you bought? Give them some ideas. Say, well, how would you rectify it? Get some ideas. Start taking your ideas down, and let's really push this from the design of a car kiosk. Rather, let's push this to a solution for an inherent human need problem. Okay, so great job here with your sketches. Everything's looking fantastic. Research is looking good. Everything's looking great. We're right on track here. So fantastic. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you very much.